this. We can always have a way to watch this if you know you're trying to do that. So try to watch. So just give me about 3 minutes, and we'll commence. Just 3 minutes will commence. Just give me about 3 minutes, and we'll wait for patient. All right, so good evening, everyone, for joining me tonight. Tonight's discussion basically centered around swine nutrition management and application. I've tried to record and host numerous programs that will focus on teaching farmers how to feed pigs correctly. And so tonight's session really is an extension of the efforts we have been trying to make on trying to get farmers to understand the basics of swine nutrition. The agenda for tonight was to have a colleague of mine anchor certain parts of the theme of the program while I do the other parts. But unfortunately, he may not be able to join us in time. So we'll try to start. We'll try to start. We'll try to start without him, and then we'll see. We'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen, but until that is done, I want us to start looking basically at the top of our agenda, the pig digestive system. You see, it is really, really difficult for anyone to start talking about how to feed pigs correctly without having an understanding of the digestive system of pigs. Because if you understand the digestive system of pigs, then probably you'll be able to know the value of what you are giving to the animal. Okay, so basically, pigs are monogastric animals with a digestive system that is pretty much similar to human beings. So human beings and pigs, they share certain similarities in terms of the digestive system, in terms of their digestive system. What this means is that pigs have only one stomach compartment. They are monogastric. They have one stomach. We can compare this to other animals, cattle and sheep, which are polygastric animals and which have multiple stomach compartments. So pigs are monogastric, If they're not, when animal is not monogastric, of course, you have polygastric animals that have multiple stomach compartments. The implication for having this kind of stomach is that while the sheep and cattle with multiple stomach compartments can effectively digest fiber-based diets, they can feed on pasture, they can feed on grass, they can feed on fiber-based feed. Pigs cannot effectively digest this feed. I don't want to use the word cannot feed on it. They can feed on it, but it is another thing to say that they can digest that particular feed. So that's basically the idea behind the pig's digestive system. So we say that fiber-based feed or diet is incompatible with the pig digestive system for three reasons. Okay, number one, it has low energy value. Okay, it has low energy value. The nutrients that we think are in this fiber-based feed are inaccessible to the pigs. And lastly, this kind of feed can severely damage the pig's gut health. So I'm going to talk about two parts in terms of the implications of pig digestive system. So we talk about inaccessibility of nutrients, and then the fact that most of these feed items can damage the gut health of the animal. So yes, I'm going to use a classic example of fiber-based feed that is usually being used frequently by farmers, pig farmers, is the palm kernel cake. So the palm kernel cake has fiber-based, okay? Regardless of whatever analysis you have there, most of what we use as PKC is just it's majorly fiber. And so when you look at the analysis of PKC, you see that okay, PKC has this so and so protein value, it has so and so energy value, but the way we use it, okay, just buy from the factory or from your vendor, including your feed diet, that nutrient that you think the feed has, it's inaccessible. Most of those nutrients are inaccessible to the pigs, so it's really a waste. If you take that particular feed, the PKC, for instance, if you take it and you give it to a ruminant, that's an animal with polygastric stomach compartment, they will do very well feeding it. So if you give to a cattle or a goat and you give PKC to this kind of animal, they will do very well because they will be able to digest it properly. They will take it through the first stomach compartment. It will pass through there, the undigested part. They will take it to the second compartment, and they will be able to fully utilize the energy in this particular feed or the protein value in this particular feed. But pigs with their single stomach compartment cannot effectively utilize most of the nutrients in PKC. I'm not saying that they will not be able to consume PKC. What I'm saying is that most of what they are going to be able to use is just going to be minute, okay? And then the other nutrients supposedly in that feed will be passed out as waste. It's the same thing with most of what we call this rice husk or rice chaff. A lot of farmers use this to make up their feed. If you look at if you're familiar with how pigs behave after consuming it, part of what they will pass out, they'll still pass out that same rice chaff out. So effectively, it's of little nutritional value to the animal. Okay, and then we'll look at the most important part of using poor feeds, fiber-based feeds. We have the problem of gut health. So it is always important for us to use quality feed that will not inflame or damage the gut health of the animal. So that's one of the reasons why you need to understand that pig digestive system works just like the way human beings digestive organs work. So the essence is you need to ensure that whatever feed ingredients you're using is quality, and it is well processed, because as human beings, we thrive on quality feed that will make us grow, balanced feed that will make us grow, and we also ensure that we process whatever thing we put into our stomach. Okay, so those are the basic ideas that you want to take note of. I am trying to share, get to where I can share my screen, but okay, yeah, I've seen it. I'm going to try to share my screen right now. Okay, so I'll go up, swine nutrition management. I'm just going to be looking at a few parts in this. This was for a previous seminar. So majorly, we look at the nutrient requirements of pigs. I think if you know that pigs require quality feed, pigs require feed that is well processed, then you actually want to know the exact nutrient requirements of pigs. And it's just as simple as energy, protein, vitamins, minerals, and water. So whatever the implication, of course, is whatever feed you are mixing or formulating, whatever ingredients you are buying, you need to ask yourself, what exactly is this particular ingredient bringing to the table? That is the most important question you need to ask yourself. What exactly is it bringing to the table? Does it have energy? And that's energy here, we're talking about carbohydrates. Does it have energy? Does it have protein? Does it have vitamin? Where is the vitamin component of my nutrition? Where is the mineral component of my nutrition? Do I have access to clean water, or do my pigs have access to clean water in the farm? So these are important questions when we talk about the nutrient requirement of pigs: energy, protein, vitamins, minerals, water. Of course, we also have what they call fat and oil. But I'm just trying to narrow our conversation to the experiences of farmers in Nigeria. Okay, so we look at energy versus protein. We look at some of the sources of energy. Maize, of course, tops the list on number one source of energy. Maize is the number one source of energy, is actually the standard of the swine industry in Nigeria. Okay, maize. And then swine industry in the world, rather. And then we have maize, you have sorghum, you have millet, you have cassava, you have barley, you have wheat bran. These are some of the conventional sources of energy. You are bringing maize, you're bringing sorghum, and of course, although I didn't include it, but most of these energy sources I've listed here, they also have what we call byproducts. So for instance, maize has what they call maize bran, an alternative to maize bran. Cassava can come in the form of tuber. It could be cassava peels, which is just a waste product of cassava. And cassava can be processed into different forms. You can decide to ferment your cassava tuber. You can decide to okay, so I'm just gonna go back to where I was trying to share my screen. So yeah, so we have energy on one side, and then we also have protein on the other side. We have energy, we have protein. And then for a protein source, we have two types of protein sources for pigs. We have soybean meal. We have two sources of protein. We have the animal protein, and we also have the plant source of protein. Excuse me. We have the plant source of protein, and we have the animal source of protein. And for the plant source of protein, we can have soybean meal, soya beans. You can have granules. You can have sesame. These are some of the plant source of protein. For the animal source of protein, which is protein sources derived from animals, it could be derived from fish. If it is derived from fish, you have the fish meal. We have blood, we have cattle blood or cow blood that is usually taken out, extracted from the animal after slaughter, prepared into a meal, blood meal, cooked, well processed, and given to pigs. You also have bone meal, etc. All right, so principally, these are the major feed nutrients: energy source and protein source. So your feed, whatever feed you are giving to the animals, must have an energy source, and it must also have a protein source. And then you come to where you have things like your mineral additives, you have your lysine, you have your methionine, and all of these things. You have source of calcium and all of the things that are required in minute quantities for the animals to grow properly. All right, so that's just an overview of the nutrient requirements of pigs. Okay. All right, so I'm going to quickly fast track our conversation because I'm sure that we have farmers who have been in this business for a long time. So that's really basic information that every farmer should have. Um, the real thing farmers want to know, of course, is how can I feed pigs, cut down my feed cost, and maximize whatever cost I'm incurring in feeding pigs. And I think that we need to look at the abiding principle for pig production. We need to look at the abiding principle. Why are we into pig farming? Um, uh, Out of a lot of reasons that there is one particular reason here that has a bearing to our discussion, and that is the issue of feed conversion. So pigs are one of several animals that have good feed conversion rates. Pigs can take whatever you give to them and quickly convert it into meat. So that is the potential that pigs have. And that is why we choose to go into pig farming. And that is why we choose to go into pig farming. So pigs can take the feed that we give to them and they can quickly convert this feed into meat that we can actually raise them and sell. So the agenda for every pig farmer is really about raising pigs within the shortest possible time. That's the agenda for every pig farmer. You want to raise pigs within the shortest possible time. And to do this, you must be able to do the right thing. And the question now is, what is the right thing? You must be able to feed your pigs properly. And I'm going to come to an important aspect. Um, I'm going to come to something that farmers need to understand, and that is how to cut costs and how to maximize whatever thing you are doing in pig farming. So basic, there are two basic strategies on how farmers can maximize feed costs in piggery. We have the nutritional strategy, and we also have the non-nutritional strategy. So it's not just about feeding. Okay, there are other non-nutritional / management strategies that will be required for you to scale down your cost and ensure that whatever thing you are plowing into the farm makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, so we'll talk about the nutritional strategies. We're going to talk about the nutritional strategies right now. Okay. I'm going to talk about the nutritional strategies. Okay, so like I said, the abiding principle for us in pig farming is we want to ensure that we we are able to um, maximize feed cost. And then we have two strategies, nutritional strategies, and we have the non-nutritional strategies. And the top on the nutritional strategies is our ability to only utilize quality, quality feed ingredients, whether it is the main feed ingredient or it is the alternative feed ingredient. We want to make sure it is quality. And I think that a lot of farmers make a lot of mistakes in terms of selecting feed ingredients. Um, we think that cheap is the right way, but if you look at the analysis, cheap So what you are looking for as a pig farmer is whatever ingredients you are using, it has to be quality. And then I'll look at, we'll converse more and talk about some of the ingredients that we are using. I know that a lot of farmers are using palm kernel cake. A lot of farmers have abandoned maize. Of course, maize is over 600 naira per kilo. A lot of farmers are using cassava peels. A lot of farmers are using cassava tuber. A lot of farmers are using so many feed ingredients. So I want to make this a little bit interactive. So I'll just ask that you unmute yourself and share with us some of the feed ingredients you are using so that I can get to give you feedback on um, what this is possibly bringing to the table. So you can unmute yourself now and just, what kind of feed ingredients are you using in your farm?
Hello.
Yeah, and we.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
What do you use to? I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I use cassava meal, I use maize, and I use corn fowl, I use GNC, I use soya beans meal. But the thing is, I tend not to see because on a normal day I use Teratiga, but due to the high costs and everything, I had to come down to what's available in my area, and then these are what I use. But I really don't see the effectiveness compared to Teratiga.
Okay. And what's the cost like after incorporating most of these ingredients?
Well, the cost was about 350 per kg. Yes, 350 per kg. That's
For
without using the concentrate. All I used was the additives, which are the lysine, methionine, bone, limestone, DCP, and some other stuff like that. So everything resulted to 350 per kg. But since I stopped using Terrasiga, I've seen a big drop in the pigs. They dropped a lot. So not a lot, but I can just say that they've not been converting, because on a normal day, now they are 3 months, 2 weeks. But as of 2 months, I could tell that they were adding close to 1 kg every day. But now I doubt they've been doing that. They've literally not added 5 kg in 2 weeks since I stopped.
So your energy source is the cassava meal.
Yes, sir. The cassava meal, though due to the high cost of corn, I use cassava meal and I use corn as well. But I use it in a very small quantity.
So what's the proportion of cassava meal in per 100 kg?
In an 100 kg, I use 10.
And then the corn over.
Not the corn of our corn. That's 20.
Okay, and the corn, what's the proportion per 100 kg?
20 kg.
So you use 10 kg of corn, cassava meal,
Yes, sir.
and you use about 20 kg of corn.
Yes, sir.
Which other energy nutrients do you incorporate in the feed?
Cornflour as well. I use cornflour, and that's all. I don't. There's no other.
From your analysis, from what you're telling me, your energy, the only energy value in your feed formulation seems to be very low. If 30 kg out of 100 kg is energy, hold on a second. If 30 kg out of 100 kilo is just energy, then of course it will affect their general performance in terms of weight gain. I would suggest you increase your cassava meal a bit. How old are these pigs?
They're 3 months, 2 weeks.
So I would suggest that you adjust your cassava meal and your corn. If you can't get corn, you can actually use corn bran. It can actually give you a good result. I suggest you review the energy components of your feed upwards to somewhere above 50 to 60 kilo. Because of course, we have a way where we formulate feed in terms of formulation of feed, the formula. And if I were to look at what you are doing, I'd say you are underfeeding them in terms of the energy value. It's really, really low. So for you to get a good result, it may not be in the same category, or it will not be the same quality of what you have been getting from Terratiga. But I also think that you can also get something maybe 70 or 80% close to what you have been getting if you can adjust the energy value of your feed formulation.
Okay.
What makes up the remaining 70 kg, if I may ask?
I use fish meal. I use soya beans meal. I use
Okay.
I use PKC as well. Yeah, PKC I think is a source of fiber. Source of fiber.
Yeah, PKC is fiber. Like I said at the beginning, PKC is fiber based. Pigs usually have a problem with assessing the supposed nutrients in PKC. That's the problem. Because of the digestive system of pigs, they may not be able to fully utilize it. They may be able to utilize maybe 10% or thereabout, and then the remaining is just go there and pass out without being converted. So that's really the problem.
Yes, sir. That's
You
very
need
true.
to, yeah. So you
Because
need to work on that.
yes, sir. So
Okay, go
because
ahead.
the last time I milled feed, because due to the fact of the cost, so I've been trying to look at the best feeding formula for me so I can stick with it. So I've been trying different things. There's a time I last week I did corn, barley, GNC, but what I observed was that they did not digest barley very well. They didn't digest it at all. I was seeing it in their pool, it was just wasting. So I seen, and the PKC as well, the same thing. They did not they did not eat it very well. They didn't even eat it very well. So, but what other alternatives do you think would be best for
Yeah.
me?
So let's look at it. I like to interact this way. I feel comfortable talking to a problem. So let's look at it this way. So we know that pigs need energy and they need protein before we now come to the other good stuffs that they actually need. But these are the two things that constitute pig feed. You know, in Europe, they have a diet that is majorly corn and soy meal. Corn accounting for the energy value, and then soy meal accounting for the protein value. So those are the two things we know that. So we now look at the materials that are accessible to us. We need to look at the materials that we can easily find. And then we have things like cassava tuber. We have things like cassava tuber, regardless of how you process it. You can decide to ferment it. You can decide to use the peels of cassava product majorly. And then you look at things like corn, which is almost a no-go area now for a lot of pig farmers. Corn and corn bran is almost a no-go area. Corn bran is selling for more than 200 naira per kilo. So that's it. So cassava, corn, energy giving feed ingredients. You look at wheat. I don't know. Some farmers, if they can access wheat, it's good. You look at ingredients like potatoes. Those are some of the energy giving ingredients. But then we also look at some factory waste alternatives that can complement energy sources. Just like I've said, complement energy sources. I don't usually recommend farmers to focus, like some farmers have access to things like spaghetti waste or indomie waste. I don't think that this should form the entire energy value of your feed formulation. I think that you should be able to use it to complement the main energy source. So if you are using, for instance, if your determination is to give 60 kg out of 100 kg constituting energy feeding ingredients, you have that space. Out of every 100 kg, you want 60 kg to be energy giving nutrients. So what you need to do is you can aggregate. You can take a combination of cassava meal, you can take aggregation of cassava peels, and even take aggregation of any of these factory waste. You have indomie waste, you have spaghetti waste, you have you have bread waste. These are some of the things that we can actually explore. So that is how we can aggregate some of these ingredients as well as the alternatives to make a good meal for them. So it depends on what you can find. Are you in the southeast or the southwest?
Southwest.
Okay, so in the southeast you have things like okpa chap. I think it's Benin seed that is used to prepare that. Am I correct?
Well, I said southwest. Southwest.
You're in the southwest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So in the southwest, you have access to some of these companies that have the stuffs. You can always look at how you can bring some of these things into your formulation. Some of these factory waste into your formulation. Indomie waste, spaghetti waste, bread waste. You can bring some of these things, but you must have a main energy giving ingredient. Something like cassava meal. It has to be there. You can take a little bit of maize, and then you can spread your costs and incorporate some of these alternatives into your feed formulation. Okay, I think it has a network issue. So let's hear from you. Can unmute yourself and tell us about your experiences. What are you feeding your pigs with? Mr. Emmanuel.
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, sir.
Okay. So
hello, sir. Hello, sir. Okay. Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Sorry for the break, sir.
All right.
I have I have something I'm working on, and I'd like to share with you. So, um,
Okay.
I have this feed formulation I want to work on, but it
Okay.
costs 400 per kg.
For
It
what
consists
category
of
of what for what category of pig?
what category of pig? Yeah, for the 3 months old, sir.
Oh, okay.
So it comprises of
Um,
maize,
um,
soya.
um, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Because normally we don't usually do the analysis based on the age of the pigs. I would like us to know the weight of the pigs.
Okay.
Do you have an
The
idea of that?
Yes, sir. The last time I scaled them, which was last week, they were weighing 35.
Okay, so these are growers then.
Yeah, they are growers.
All
So
right, go ahead.
now my question is, with this my formulation now, which comes at 400 per kg, because now with my calculation, I've been spending from day one. Now at the end of the day, how will I get the market to buy these things, and how do I get to make my profit? If because now I want to feed well, I want to feed very well, and hopefully I get the results I'm looking to get. Now, if I continue with this 400 per kg, at the long run, is it going? It I don't think it's going to be profitable. But I'm asking you now that, do you think it's going to be profitable if I keep on at this rate, spending at 400 per kg?
Okay, thank you, um, James Ebuka. Personally, I don't think current situation and the fact that pig prices are not really responding to some of the realities that we are facing. I don't think feeding growers at 400 per kilo up to when they get to market. I don't think it is so profitable. I don't know what your market is. I don't know if you have a premium market, but if we are looking at the offtake markets, the market where you go to the middleman and all, I don't think that that may give you what you want, and that's my concern. Um, there was a time I wrote somewhere, and I said, look, an opinion I had. I said, look, there's so much that the pig market can take. We have right now, we have a lot of farmers agitating to sell live weights for 1,005, 1,006, 1,007. It's unfortunate, but I don't think that you would have off takers. In reality, I don't think we'll have off takers who can take at that amount. The regular off taker who comes from a distant location and wants to buy and has invested so much in logistics and all of that. I don't think he can get to that particular price. I may be wrong, but I don't think he gets to that price. So I think
You're not
that
wrong.
we have to be we have to be a little bit innovative in how we can check this price. You know, we have to be innovative in how we can check this price and incorporate a number of ingredients, alternative ingredients, quality alternative ingredients into what we are feeding. Now, you said you are doing cassava meal and um, corn bran. You need to look at your costs. Okay, firstly, you need to look at the cost per kilo of what each of these items constitutes. Okay, you also need to look at around you. You need to look at people who have different alternative ingredients around you. You need to look at which is cheap and which is quality, and see if you can incorporate it into your feed. You also need to be able to streamline some of your protein sources. You know, um, it depends on the kind of protein source you're using. Are you using soya meal? Are you using blood meal? Are you using fish meal? Of course, you can't. It's not economical for you to use fish meal for a grower feed because fish meal is very, very expensive. So you have to look at compare the cost of the protein sources around you, and then you find the ones that are a little bit affordable, cheap, but of course, quality. um, you also look at the additives you are using. You have to compare prices with other vendors and find the cheapest ones possible. But from my experience, at 400 naira per kilo for a grower feed, it will be difficult for you to, make the kind of profits that you should. So what I would recommend, we can talk about your feed formulation on WhatsApp. We can talk about your feed formulation and then something that we can tailor to your own location, because you're in the Southwest. Things that you can actually incorporate to make the whole thing makes sense. I think Ebuka has left us, but we'll go back to the nutritional strategies, and I think the very first one there is that for you to manage cost in piggery, each category of pig has specific nutrient needs. So you need to tailor tailor your feed formulation to the category of pigs that you have on the farm. And in my discussion with Ebuka that just left us, I asked him, we don't talk about the age of pigs again. We need to look at, okay, how many weeks old are these pigs and what is their weight? Because so many farmers have pigs of 3 months that are not really doing well. And so they just, okay, the animal is 3 months, thus the animal must eat this. But we need to tailor it based on the weight of the animal. So if you are doing this, you should be able to have things like a starter feed. You should be able to have a grower feed. You should be able to have gestating feed, lactating feed, boar feed. You need to try to tailor your feed based on the category of animal and also based on their expected performance. So, for instance, you can't feed a winner with a less concentrated feed, maybe a finisher feed or a grower feed, and give it to a newly weaned animal. These are some of the things that will push your cost up, because that particular winner will take a longer time before it even hits 20 or 25 kilo. So you must be able to prepare a well-concentrated starter feed. Now, another idea that comes into mind is, okay, with the prices of feed items, if you decide to feed, you wean your animal at maybe 10 kilo, and your age of grower is, your weight of grower is about 25 kilo. So you might look at it and say, okay, well, if I feed a well-concentrated starter feed, very expensive, from 10 to 25 kilo, it might affect my profit margin. You can decide to vary the formulation of the starter feed based on the weight of the animal. So you can have a starter feed like starter 1, starter 2, and even starter 3. You can decide to have a starter feed that will take care of an animal from 10, maybe you win at 10 kilo, from 10 kilo to 15 kilo. You can have another one that you vary a bit in terms of bringing the cost down from 15 kilo to 20 kilo. And you can also further vary that diet from 20 kilo to 25 kilo, while still maintaining the quality of what you are giving. So you just vary it a bit in terms of incorporating other alternatives into it, or reducing the quantity of the quantity of the different nutrients you are incorporating into that diet. So these are some strategies that you want to do. So you need to feed animals based on the category that you have in the farm, and you can also decide to further break down each category so that you can get the results. Remember, of course, that in pigs, there are certain costs that you cannot run away from. You cannot run away from feeding your winners properly. You cannot also run away from providing quality gestating feed or even lactating feed. So you want to be able to, streamline all of these things and ensure that you get the kind of result that you want to get. I also want to touch on feed processing, because I feel that most times we are using feed and it is not giving us the kind of results it's giving us. So some farmers may use a particular feed ingredient, recommend it to us, and then we use it and we start complaining that it is not giving us the kind of results it is giving us. Well, this all boils down to processing. For instance, cassava has a high level of energy, high level of energy. Gross energy is very high, but then we have different types of energy. You have gross energy, you have metabolizable energy, you even have net energy. So while cassava tuber might have all of this energy deposit in it, but once the energy that the animal can metabolize from that particular each kilo of what you are giving to the animal becomes very low. Now, this can change if you are able to process your feed properly. For instance, farmers, maybe you're using cassava tuber. The performance of pigs fed with cassava tuber, fermented cassava tuber, may slightly vary from those that are served with processed cassava meal. Okay, that's another thing. And then we look at things like what do they call it? Things like soya bean. You know, you can have soya bean meal, SBM. You can have full fat soya, and then SBM has a higher level of CP, crude protein, than full fat soya, which we would think has that CP. But unfortunately, it has more fat and oil, more of oil than even the SBM, but it has less of crude protein deposit than they are compared to the SBM. So feed processing is important. Feed processing, feed storage, these are actually important. And then when you talk about feed processing and storage, you now come to the issue of toxins. So the presence of toxins in feed will deplete the nutritional value of what you are giving to the animals. That is a fact. All right, so we've spoken about feeding pigs based on their category. We've spoken about the fact that you can also vary what you are giving in each category. We've also touched on the issue of feed processing, which is very, very important. I want to look at some non-nutritional strategies. I think that while you are addressing the issue of feed formulation in terms of the core nutritional needs of the pigs, you're also burdened with other, non-nutritional management factors that you need to look at. For instance, in fact, the basic rule of piggery is to only keep animals that you can take care of. That is the basic rule of pig farming. Only keep pigs that you can take care of. So if you have a huge project, you must be able to tailor that project to your financial reality. It doesn't make any economical sense for you to have so many pigs and that you can't take care of. So if you are in a situation already where you have so many pigs, what you can do is to look at your breeding section. Okay, you can look at your breeding section and decide to downsize your breeding head, so that you can, in the short and long term, you can have a reduced population, so that any time you want to, your financial situation improves, you can now increase, you can convert some of your growers to breeders, and you can increase your breeding population. So the general rule is only keep animals that you can take care of. Okay, if you have 100, and if you have a program, and it is very important, after deciding that this is a number my financial reality can cater for, the second thing is to say, okay, how do we go to markets? Because this is a problem for a lot of farmers. The fact that maybe you sell once in a year, or you sell once in 2 years, or once in 3 months, once in 5 months, you need to be able to have a system that will enable you go to market every now and then, maybe every 1 month or every 2 months. You have to have a plan where you can have groups of animals ready for market at the same time. So if you have 40 animals weighing 80 kilo, you can send them to market at the same time. The next month, you have another batch of 40 animals weighing 80 kilo, you can send them to market at the same time. If you do this, if you have a sales and marketing plan, then it will be easy for you to, able to, manage your cost and also get the needed revenue to move the farm and meet your financial obligations every month. So that's important. So while you are looking at calling your sows, look at how you can streamline your pigs. I know of so many farms that, because they are unable to do this, they go to market maybe once in 6 months, maybe once in 7 months, accumulating feed cost, accumulating salary cost, accumulating, sundry cost, which makes it impossible for them to really, get get what they're supposed to get from pig farming. So these are some of the realities that you need to contend with. I'm going to take questions now because we are coming to the end of tonight's session. So I want to take questions from you. I want to listen to your own challenges as far as they concern feeding of pigs, nutrition, and the rest. Let's hear from you, and we can also make instant recommendations here. So I would like to go from Chidima Ebere to Isaac Luka to Faladay Emmanuel and James Ebuka in that order. So if you have any question you actually want us to talk about in terms of pig swine nutrition, you can just drop that and do that.
Okay, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Chidima Ebere is on the line.
All right, go ahead, sir.
This Opa chaff, how good is it?
Yeah, it's
as a protein source.
Yeah, it's as an alternative, it is good. As an alternative, it is good enough. You may want to use it with other feed ingredients. You're not using it as a standalone feed ingredients.
No, I use it in combination with the blood meal.
Exactly. How do you use your blood meal, sir?
I cook.
Okay, that's good. So you properly prepare it.
Yeah, I cook them. In fact, I buy them cooked one. I always tell the vendor at the slaughterhouse to cook. She'll cook them and I take them the next morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's better. That's
okay. That's what I want to ask.
So how is the performance of your animals using what you are doing?
It's okay, but from what I have learned from this, I will have to reduce the quantity of my PKC and increase that of cassava meal.
Okay. Yeah. Just like we have said, the energy, whatever is the energy or whatever is the nutrient value of PKC is not really terming PKC as a bad feed altogether. I'm only saying that not really assess it. And so if you look at whatever we are spending in terms of procuring PKC, we would have really redeployed that money and use it to buy something else that they can actually assess, and then we can start getting the results we want to get.
Okay. I'll have to reduce the quantity of my PKC. All right. That's the middle thing I'm going to do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Isaac Luka. Isaac Luka, if you have a question, if you don't have a question, we can move on. Okay, so let me take question from Mr. Faladay Emmanuel.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Victor and everybody. So thank you for this session.
Yeah.
And your effort to bring us all up to speed on as touching the matter of piggery. Actually, I closed down my farm some 9 years ago due to the fact that my non-availability and the way they were taking care of it, I was not happy. So I closed down like 9 years ago. But now I'm planning a comeback. So that's why I've been actually following you back to back for some months now.
Okay.
So that this time I can actually get it right, starting from the right gene, right species, then others also this feed issue. So it is just, I would say at this point now, it is knowledge I'm seeking just to get things right this time. So, and the feed too is as equally important as also the right gene. So this on this, I know I know when I'm planning that when I'm fully ready, I will actually contact you to get the right gene, the right species. I know we have a group there that will talk about importation and this, but I later saw that you advise someone where he can get a good species. Though I will contact you when the time is right. But on this feed, thank you very much for the information. But you basically talk much about the energy and the protein. For the energy, you said it should be 60%. The protein, I could not get the percentage of protein, and also for minerals too. Minerals, then the minerals. And also when I was in pre-grade, then they used to advise we add lysine, mentholin, premix. I think those are under the category of minerals.
Yes. So you have different micronutrients required by pigs. You have the lysine, the methionine. You want to include DCP. You want to actually have a small level of salt in their feed. You have so many of these nutrients that you can actually buy and include in their feed. Those are actually equally as important as your energy and protein source. You spoke about genetics too, and I think that the issue of genetics is central to any discussion about piggery. Good genetics will help you make sure that whatever thing you are doing is reflective on the results you are going to get. Because with bad genetics, of course, you are not going to get the kind of results you are supposed to get. I know that people may look at it and say, well, pigs are pigs, just give them quality feed and watch them grow, but then some genetic companies have been able to optimize the bloodline of pigs, optimize it, so that you have better feed conversion and also other traits that are required for profitable pig farming. So genetics is the basic infrastructure. Animals that don't perform well, they have no business with modern pig enterprise. So thank you very much. I look forward to you starting, and I'm always available. James Ebuka, so I would like to take your question now. Let's take your question and make further inputs in your project. If you can hear me, you can unmute yourself. Okay, while James is, can I take your question, Mr. Taiwo? Please unmute yourself. You are muted already. Just unmute yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Sorry, what's your take on spent grain? The previous ones.
Yeah, so spent grain, brewery wheat, these are also sources of some of them act as sources of protein. They act as sources of protein, and then fillers for energy and all of that. I worry about the quality of spent grain we are getting. I worry about that. I worry about the moisture content. Most times when we draw feed formulation, we usually do that in terms of dry matter basis. So if I say use 10 kg of 10 kg of maize, for instance, it is assumed we're talking about dry maize. and all that. If you say 10 kg of cassava, it is assumed you're talking about dry cassava flour or meal. So I worry about the moisture content. I also worry about their susceptibility to issues of mycotoxins in terms of how you store them. A lot of farmers bring in this brewery waste in tipper, in trucks, and they pour it on the ground and then they use it every day. Yes. Mycotoxin, the impact of mycotoxin is real. And while it may not appear, it may not be as apparent as other things on the farm, other variables on the farm, but it's actually real. Mycotoxins are growth inhibitors. They can inhibit the growth. So while your animal has the potential of doing 5 kilo every week, with mycotoxins in the feed, they might be doing 1.52 kilo. And you may not know their potential because you already take the 1.5 as normal. So, but if you can find a way around these factors that I have just mentioned, I think that you can actually incorporate BDG in their feed. You can actually incorporate spent grain in their feed. But most importantly, I want us to treat spent grain as an alternative. So with the alternative, you must also have a main source. So if you are looking, what is spent grain bringing to the table? Are you using it as protein? Is it fiber based? What exactly is spent grain bringing to the table? So once you solve that problem, you can actually now start looking at proper feed formulation. So if you are using it as protein, then of course you need to have another protein source that to complement. If you are bringing it as energy, you need to also have a main energy source that you want it to complement. But personally, I'm not really a fan of spent grain.
But why spent grain is I think it's still the cheapest means of feeding around this area. That's okay. I will keep on.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about is feeding. And I tell you this, I know so many farms that are feeding pigs, okay? Feeding pigs and getting the results is another thing entirely.
So
exactly. So you can feed, like I've actually been private to weight assessment every week. So yes, you are feeding, but your feed majorly is you're feeding for pig survival. They're using that your feed, the energy value of what you're giving to them is survival and body maintenance. So this week they can weigh 35 kilo, next week still at 35 kilo. After like 4 weeks, they now give you 1 kilo, 36 kilo. So majorly, you might think you are feeding, but you are feeding, what you are feeding to them is only able to help them in surviving and also performing their daily function. You want pigs to grow, the energy value of what you are giving to them, they must use it to survive, perform their daily activity, and then the reserve now, they will now use it to grow. You use it to add weight, So it must meet that function and then surpass it. That's when you know that you're getting the right result. But if it is just to meet that function, then it's going to be a little bit tricky for you as a farmer. So what I would always encourage is look at what you are giving to the animal as your energy source. Ensure that the animals have quality energy. You have quality energy ingredients in your feed formulation. Quality energy ingredients. Nothing stops you from bringing in from 2-3 different sources. If you have to do that to manage the cost, you can do that. Okay, so
okay,
I like
the cassava peel, like the dried one, right?
Yeah. So cassava peel, dried cassava peel is actually good. It's actually good. It's actually good for pigs, incorporating it with other energy ingredients, of course. You can't just feed dry cassava peel as energy source. You have to incorporate it with other energy sources. So that is it.
I'm just learning that bone meal is actually protein. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm just It's protein. I'm just saying that today.
Yes, it is animal source of protein. Of course, it also supplies calcium to the pigs as well. Okay. So I want to thank you all for taking your time to join.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, and I hope we can actually do this some other time. And the next one we'll just want you to come on board and then talk about your own nutritional problems, and then we can talk about how we can solve them collectively. So thank you all, and
sir.
Yeah.
Sorry if I was on the bike, so I couldn't talk much. So what would you say about concentrates? Like adding concentrates in feeding in your feed?
Yeah, concentrate suffices as a way of preparing feed. Concentrate suffices. We have different ways of feeding pigs. You have the concentrate method where you can assess a protein concentrate or even an energy concentrate, and you mix it with other things, and then you get the result you want to get. You also have on-farm feed formulation. If you can assess a concentrate that can give you one of those things that is lacking, there's a protein concentrate, for instance, you can assess it, and it also incorporates all the feed additives so that you don't start buying all of those things and start doing your formulation. It is a good, it will give you a good result.
Well, how would you know if it's an energy concentrate or a protein concentrate? How do you know?
It should be stated on the pack. It should be stated. Whatever kind of concentrate it is, the manufacturer should be able to specify that this is it and this is what you're supposed to mix it with.
Okay. But now, like I said earlier, because like now I just got powdered concentrates, and they gave their own formula, and at the end of the day, the formula is coming down to 400 naira per kg. How do I deal with that?
Yeah, you can't. Of course, we have discussed this. Your realities as a pig farmer,
Okay.
You can't make profits. You may not. I don't want to be definitive. I don't know your mind. You may not make the kind of profit you want to make with 400 naira per kilo. It's going to be very difficult, a rough ride for you. So what I would suggest is you go back, look at the available ingredients in your locality, and then see how you can work something out. Okay. This is something that is specific to your problem. So I would encourage you to send me a message on WhatsApp, and then we can try to counsel you on the way forward.
All right, sir. I'll send you a text. I'll need to send you a text on WhatsApp.
All right. Okay.
I'll send it.
So
right,
thank you. All right. All right. So till next time, we'll have a meeting next time. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Victor.